Hey, how's it going? It's Kris with the Felt Recoil podcast. And as usual, and as always, we have a charity of choice for you this week. Safe Harbor, South Carolina. safeharbor.sc.org. If it feels like you're listening to me and I'm outside, it's because we are. We are recording this inside of a big hangar at the Thomas Creek Brewery. And we asked Thomas Creek, what's the charity you guys support? And they said, locally, we always support Safe Harbor given every chance possible. safeharbor.sc.org exists to provide services for women and children who are victims of domestic violence. They want to influence a culture where all people are safe and valued in their relationships. They are a private 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to helping victims of domestic violence in the upstate of South Carolina. As always, you can go to feltrecoilshow.com and find a link to safeharbor.sc.org, or just head over to safeharbor.sc.org. They would appreciate your donation, as would we, and you can write it off on your taxes. Here's the thing. Please always remember this about your charitable giving. Either the government can decide where your money goes, which you definitely don't want, or you get to decide. So do that. It's smart. safeharbor.sc.org. This is episode number 14 of the Felt Recoil podcast, live from the Thomas Creek Brewery, actually being recorded at the Thomas Creek Brewery. Why do I lie to everybody? And it's going to start right now.
This is Felt Recoil.
All right, episode 14. By the way, let me just recap real quick what happened last night. I got word today that one of our friends whose wife works at a hospital heard the tirade on the operating procedure last night, and they actually said spot on. They said it's 100% true. We don't like those people either. I said, I hope they understood that I was saying the support staff was awesome. And then when we met with the surgeon who wanted to joke about chopping off my 4-year-old's leg, that's when I went ballistic. He said, yeah, they don't understand how some of these people have no common sense either. So I feel better about that. But
I'm glad you got that.
I had to bring it up at the beginning there. Okay. So I'm Kris, straight across on my right-hand side, my hetero life partner,
Patrick.
Hey, buddy.
I got it that time.
Yeah, you feeling good?
Yeah.
All right. And then
Must be the beer talking.
Over to my left, a man about whose sexuality I make no assumptions is Will from Thomas Creek. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, man.
He's like, all right, I immediately regret this decision. So Will is part of the sales and marketing team for Thomas Creek, and he actually gave us an extraordinary invite to come in and sit inside the brewery itself and record the podcast. We got a tour that we have video of. You can check feltrecoilshow.com. Go over to the YouTube page and see that. But for now, we're sitting down and talking with him a little bit about Thomas Creek. So let's start here. Remember, Will, just like everybody else at the table, you get one I'm over it. So if I dive into some crazy story about wanting to elbow an operating room anesthesiologist in the bridge of her nose and cause blood splatter, you're allowed to go, hey, man, I'm kind of over this, and we move on, okay? Probably won't happen because we're going to talk beer and Thomas Creek Brewery's beer, but it did happen on last night's podcasting.
He got real upset.
Right. Yeah, well, it was a little, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's your kids. It's your kids. Hold on, guys. 1 second. Sorry. Are you guys hearing music?
Yeah.
Okay. That's out of my computer. I don't know how that's happening. There we go.
Is that Whitney Houston?
It was Coldplay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was Coldplay, but at this stage in the game,
Basically
might as well
the
be
same thing.
might as well be Whitney Houston. All right, I'm totally not going to cut that out. All right, so you get the one I'm over it, but first let's do one question 5 times, okay?
All right.
So the first question we ask everybody: if you have a recommendation, what would be the one firearm you would recommend everybody own?
Well, I would definitely say the one firearm everybody should own would be probably a really large water gun full of beer.
Yes.
I like that. It would definitely make the outside games with my kids much more fun for me.
I mean, after this podcast, you never know.
We're going to start pitching that to people we know and see if stores will pick that up locally. All right, number 2, what is the one book you think everybody should read?
Well, this one I know you've never heard. My dad is actually an author, and he's written several books, and he's a retired Methodist minister. So he actually wrote a book that's really weird. It's called Chip, C-H-I-P, and it's available on Amazon if you ever want to check it out. But basically, it's about a little farm boy who stumbles on the ability to communicate with farm animals.
Huh.
And it takes it into some weird, trippy, like crazy avenues of a book, and it's worth reading and checking out. And he's local. He's from Calhoun Falls, South Carolina, and he's pretty proud of it. There's 5 books in the series, so he continues to write. He's retired from the ministry.
Very cool.
He's got a good talent, man.
How was he doing that while he was in the ministry, or was it something that came up afterwards?
Kind of toward the end,
Yeah.
but he's been writing for a while. He's been doing poetry books while he was in the ministry, and actual history books, even on small towns and how to transfer churches and just a lot of different subjects. So
Chip.
Is
So you said there's 5 volumes?
there are.
All right, and is there a different name for every volume?
There
or do I
are.
just look
and
up Chip?
Yeah, there are. Chip is where to start, definitely. And you can look, just go to, CHIP. And it's not a super long book. My dad's just a good storyteller. When he was a preacher, he would, every 5 or 10 minutes to keep people from falling asleep, he would throw in a really good story that would have people just dying laughing.
Sure.
So he's gained that ability to keep people really interested and just keep your crowd.
Is it marketed as a kid's book?
Oh no, it's a full-on sci-fi novel.
Oh, okay,
It gets
okay.
into some real crazy alien, stuff, man.
Interesting.
It's trippy.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, we'll look it up. Chip it is. And what's your dad's name in case somebody wants to Google
It's
it?
Harold Lawrence, Lawrence.
All right. Chip by Harold Lawrence. Okay, what's the one movie you think everybody should see?
Beer Fest.
Awesome. Is that a documentary?
No, actually, it's made by the guys that did Super Troopers.
Oh, okay. We're there in Germany. I remember now.
Yeah.
My bad.
And I love a lot of other movies like Goonies and all this kind of stuff. But as far as being into beer so much that I am, it's just fun to watch. We don't promote any kind of gaming as far as beer goes. As far as
like the competition drinking that they're doing in
that's
that
not
movie.
something we promote. We actually have T-shirts that are that are old school, but they're against that, and we definitely aren't for that. But it is a pretty funny movie.
Still entertaining movie.
And you know what? On that note, by the way, here's what is funny. If you ever look at a Thomas Creek beer package in the store, there's this kind of caption on the side that says, if you're looking for a beer to chug during drinking games, buy an inferior product, which I've always thought is really smart. So I think that ties into what you're saying there.
Definitely.
Okay, and so what's the one album everyone should own?
I would say Jimmy Buffett, A1A.
Really?
Yeah, dude.
Well, I guess that goes along with we're sitting in a brewery. Huh?
Well, I don't know. I used to just get off of work and, you pop it on and then it's all his like old school hits at like a slower level than,
Yeah.
You could just chill all day to that, barbecue, grill out, have some beers. That's you got to get that album. If you don't have it, you need to get it.
Jimmy Buffett, A1A.
A1A.
All right. So what one piece of advice, Will, from Thomas Creek Brewery, would you give your 18-year-old self?
Don't sell your first car.
No, yeah?
Yeah. Mine was a 1966 Chevrolet Caprice that it was my dad's.
That's why. Yeah.
It was my dad's, and I tricked it out to a lowrider, and it was pretty awesome.
Man, and then got rid of it.
Yeah.
See, I disagree because mine was a 1983 Volkswagen Quantum, and the windows didn't work, and there was no radio. And on my life, I kid you not, Vintage Auto on Rutherford Road, I took it to him to get fixed, and he said, I don't even know what this is. It's not true. He said, I've only seen one of these before, and there's no way we'll really be able to get parts to fix this. So, but that's pretty cool that to have had your dad's car. I can understand that advice.
Yeah, I'm actually like, it's gotten to the point where I'm looking for something similar.
Yeah.
I might not want the big old lowrider part, but I want something in the same age.
So can we ask why you sold it?
Yeah. I was in college out at Georgia Southern, and then I moved. I moved to Los Angeles for a little while.
Yeah.
I lived out there, and it kind of set at my parents' house, and my dad was kind of over it. and
I gotcha.
kind of like he
Now,
threw in the towel on it and was just tired of it sitting there. So,
what were you doing at Georgia Southern?
actually, I went to 3 different colleges in 3 different states in 6.5 years to get a bachelor's degree.
Really?
So I went to Georgia Southern for 2 years, and then I went to school in Los Angeles, and didn't really go to school much. Did a lot of surfing and hanging out and stuff, and then finished up at Lander University in Greenwood.
Okay.
And got a degree in mass communications and broadcasting from there.
Fantastic. Were you at Georgia Southern during the Irk Russell days? Was he there when you were there?
I was there from 99 to like 01 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
It's
lived
kind of blurry.
Yeah,
I think my GPA the first semester was 1.0.
Yeah, I've been there.
I lost every scholarship I had. So
I worked for a guy named Terry who was the punter for Georgia Southern in his time when Irk Russell was the coach.
Oh, cool.
And so he's big time Georgia Southern. I think he still does some commentary for them on their football games and such.
Yeah, I did help tear down one of the goalposts when we won, and got on the front page of the newspaper. That was pretty cool. As a freshman, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, hence needing a new college a semester later.
These are achievements. I mean, in my mind, you know.
All right. I love it. Okay. Remember, you go to feltrecoilshow.com, and everything that gets recommended, we put underneath recommended gear. So just click the tab, and you'll see everything Will has shared with us. So let's get into Thomas Creek Brewery and how it started, if we can go there.
Yeah, definitely.
What was the genesis for Thomas Creek?
Well, you know, Tom.
I'm sorry, real fast. Genesis means beginning, Patrick.
Got it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I was wondering Tom's play. No, Tom's really, really talented. You know, he was a bartender for a while, and him and his dad, we're almost 19 years old. We're 18 and a half years old. So we have a 19-year anniversary coming up. But him and his dad started this business, and you know, Tom's an amazing master brewer. He is super skilled and, I mean, can pretty much create anything you want as far as beer. So, from what I've learned in my short time here, which I've been here probably 8 months, but I've known Tom and his dad and for 10 plus years. I worked in the restaurant business for a long time and would put Thomas Creek in all my restaurants. I managed for Copper River Grill and Arizona's and a couple other places, and the beer always sold, and they know what they're doing here.
Yeah. It seems like so we've been here with you for what time? So about an hour and a half now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you've been very generous with your time. Thank you, by the way. Here's what I love about this place so far. I feel like I'm hanging out with just a bunch of people who are hanging out brewing beer.
Yeah, that's pretty much it is.
I don't feel like I'm in a work environment. Does that make sense? Like, I don't mean that rude.
Yeah.
Am I making sense?
No.
I think I feel the same way.
There is a lot of work that gets done, and it is crucial, but it's on a very chill level, which is a lot different than all the corporate structures that I've worked for. We are a family-owned and operated business. We do give a lot back to the community, and we put out a product that we don't put out anything bad. If something's created here as a project and is sampled by Tom, and he doesn't think it's worth selling, it doesn't go out the building.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just that he's always been that way, and it's good to work for a company where I go out and I do sales. So I cover the whole from Columbia up to the top of the state, and we have 2 other sales reps, Lindsay Acker and Casey Smith, and they're amazing. And it's good to go into a restaurant or go into a distributor's office and feel confident about what you're promoting and what you're selling, because it is a quality product that's there 100% every time.
Makes it so much easier to sell when you believe in what you're selling.
Exactly.
Like when I was in radio, I remember when the radio broadcasting side started drying up, and they'd go, well, we move you to a different division. You want to do sales? I go, heck no, I'm not going to sell people radio airtime. Like, what a waste. What a ripoff. Because everything in my world was, as the broadcasting side, it was, people will change 3 seconds into the first commercial. They go away. And they just kept telling us that. You got 3 seconds to keep the person that's listening. So then, of course, they make their tagline, "We are today's best hit music, B93.7, and on your FM2 dial it." And you're like, hey, wait, I thought we only had 3 minutes to keep them. So they're leaving. So it was never an option to go in and try and sell people radio airtime or anything else because I just never believed in it. It's got to be that much
If you're
better.
wondering why this is a podcast instead of terrestrial radio,
Right.
this is why, because Kris doesn't believe it.
First of all,
Screw those guys.
For the
I'm
record-
starting a podcast.
Ain't going to a brewery.
Will, you can stay off the record here if you want, but terrestrial radio is so dead. It's the funniest thing. It doesn't realize it's dead, but it's dead because they're having to offer so much more now to get you to buy from terrestrial radio. You go to a local radio station, it used to be back in the day, and I'm not trying to brag when I say this, but back in the day, any schlub like myself could command $75 an hour to just stand in your bar and tell people that's where he was. I mean, you would do these live promos and go, yeah, so-and-so. It wasn't just me. It was anybody. But now, okay, we'll send our talent out there. We don't pay them, all right? They don't actually do live breaks from your location anymore, even though it's so much easier these days than it ever was then. I think I've told you this before, Patrick. You basically become a glorified used car salesman, right? That's the true grit of being on radio is you go to Kia of Greer and you sell somebody a $10,000 car with a lifetime warranty for 6 miles or whatever it is. and so then you're in this position of, trying to sell them stuff. But my whole point here, not to take away from you, Will, sorry, but the whole point is it's got to be that much easier to sell a product. You walk in and you go, no. So Harris from HQ's Watches was on this, and he made this comment where he said, I might not make the best watch on the market, but I do make the coolest.
Yeah.
And you could feel the conviction when he told you that. He knew it. He believed it. So he sells you on the watches. It's got to be that way when you walk in somewhere and you say, hey, listen, you're not selling Thomas Creek. I think you should be, because truth of the matter is when people try it, they're going to tell you it's better than every other beer you've got here.
Yeah, we have beers that, I think Trifecta was probably the first real craft beer that I ever was introduced to as far as an IPA. And, my buddy Justin Fowler gave me one. We were playing Frisbee golf, and I was like, what is this? And, it's one of my top sellers, and it's one that we always push. And it's a great beer because of the fact that it does well in a, family casual dining restaurant where you've got somebody that they want to be introduced to craft beer. They want a beer that's not a domestic, beer, and it's hoppy enough to grab their attention, but not hoppy enough to where it leaves that taste in their mouth that they don't want another one. I mean, it has a great finish. It's Greenville's leading beer right now. It is crushing this market, and we're starting to get behind it in all of our other locations as far as Columbia and Clemson and Anderson and Greenwood. Everybody's starting to kind of catch on, and Spartanburg's really doing it too. So it's spreading like wildfire, and it's for good reason. It's a quality product, and it'll sell well wherever.
Let's talk about the process of beer, okay? Why is Thomas Creek a better beer than everything Budweiser makes? And I'm not saying that like, hey, I think that's your opinion. I'm stating it as fact. Everyone recognizes it's fact. How does your process differentiate? Because and I do want to touch on this. You gave us a quick tour, and one of the things that was cool was you're using this grain, right? It's just grain. Is that what I call it? I don't want to sound like an idiot here, but anyway, you were cleaning out a vat of some sort, and you mentioned we actually donate this to local cattle ranchers so they can feed it to the cows. Is that what you do that differentiates Thomas Creek from the big conglomerates that just push out, water mixed with what seems to be maybe urine of some sort?
Well, I'm not going to compare us to other breweries
Nor should you. You're head and shoulders above. I understand.
Well, or to Budweiser. I've drank plenty of Budweiser in my time.
Don't protect your future career here.
No,
okay?
No, I'm not. No. My
Let's just let them have it. Let's let them have it. Yeah.
I love working here. This is probably the best job I've ever had, and it's not just Tom and his dad. That Tom's wife works here. I mean, there's a lot of people that work here that are family, and it's an environment that makes you want to come to work. I would say the one thing that sets us apart is the quality again. I mean, it's great.
Everything here is hands-on.
Yeah,
I don't know
it
if does. I mean, maybe you don't know, but I wonder if everywhere else is like that. Everywhere we've been today, I've seen someone handling the process.
Well, no, it's not like that everywhere. I met a guy from Belgium that has a brewery there, and I won't say who it is, but everything, because it's not negative. I mean, it's a positive thing. I mean, they're at an amazing facility, but he has one guy, and he pushes one button, here and one button there, and then this drops that everything.
He has a Homer Simpson.
Yeah. Well, I can't sit here and talk super beer knowledge with you, because that's not what I bring to the table. I have the restaurant experience to be able to try to fit a beer with what a restaurant concept is looking for, especially with a lot of people doing beer dinners, a lot of people wanting something that is going to turn and is going to make the clientele come back for something different every time.
Beer pairings are big now.
They're huge, man. Like beer dinners, they're pre-selling tickets. They're maxing out a restaurant on a Tuesday night that would never be packed on a Tuesday night. We have an event starting every, I think it's at Universal Joint coming up, is bingo and beer, and that's this Monday coming up, and that's pretty cool that we're involved in that. And there'll be prizes that we'll be giving out there, t-shirts and hats and signs and all kind of stuff. And I think what sets us apart is we've been a part of this community for almost 20 years. We continue to give back to the community. We continue to have events that support the community. And if somebody reaches out to us and they're like, hey, we support this charity, would you be willing to do an event at your brewery with live music, with a food truck? And yes, 100%. I mean, we have tons of events coming up. May 6th starts our live music. First Saturday of every month we'll be doing live music here, and that starts at 4:30 and goes to 7:30, and that gives you the ability to go. We kind of pregame at Thomas Creek. We don't do the late night thing here.
Sure,
we're too busy making beer. We're not a brew pub to where you go and sit down and have dinner and hang out till 10, 11 o'clock at night. That's not what we do. Our main goal is putting beer, in your refrigerator, in your grocery store, and at your restaurant. And that's what we've been doing for so long. And I mean, just staying focused on that has kept us growing and expanding, and it will continue to do so.
So, I guess this might be a weird question, but do you feel like your job is very hard? Because to me, if I walk in and I'm like, hey, restaurant guy, you should try this beer, and he's gonna be like, that's great beer, and I go, yeah, you should sell it to people. And then he goes, yeah, but what's the other angle? Like, when you walk in and you're trying to convince somebody this is better than that, how do you open those doors?
Well, I mean, for me personally, I mean, we have a really strong following in Greenville, and that has a lot to do with the reps that came before me, and Tom and his family putting a lot of effort into it for years. What I do is basically try to go into areas that we are available and we're there, but we're not as strong as we should be. So I'm spending a lot of time in Columbia, a lot of time in Spartanburg, a lot of time in places where we're growing rapidly. And if I'm not there and I'm not available at festivals or at events at certain restaurants promoting the beer, then we don't really benefit from that.
Sure.
So we're all about, is it good for us? Is it good for our people that are selling our beer? If we can hit those two win-wins, then that's really what it's all about for us.
You sound the company sounds very brand oriented, meaning you guys must have like a mission statement of some sort, or
Sink the status quo.
Yeah, there you go. And
that's on every package that you see. It basically says we're not your normal brewery. I mean, I could sit here and talk about a couple of beers right now that just, I have some of them stashed away that I've purchased, did not take. Thank you.
Yep, boss.
And and those will be kept for me for years. Some of the high gravity beers, people are putting them in cellars. It's a big deal.
Really?
Yeah.
So do you guys do limited runs? Is there beer out there you've made before that I can find on eBay for $1,000 or something like that?
Well, I don't know about eBay, but you have people out there that collect them that want to trade. That they're I wouldn't say they're very collectible, but they're very good to have for like a bottle share when you have a group of people coming around. You're like, hey, I got this from Wicked Weed, I got this from Thomas Creek. That's something that we've really started getting into. We have a release of Fermente Blonde, which is an amazing beer that comes out March 9th. And so we'll be releasing here at the brewery at 4:30 March 9th. We've got Soul Service playing, which is a 5-piece band with amazing lead singer, and they played for us at the Brew Bash this past year. They're awesome. And we have food trucks and a bunch of other beers on tap that you can't get out in Greenville or anywhere else. Some of them are Brewers Taps, some of them are experiments. A lot of that's here at the brewery. It's worth coming by and checking out the tap room and stuff. But I think the biggest bottle release for us is Bull Sluice. Bull Sluice is a rapid on the Chattooga River that can vary from class 4 to class 5 depending on the level of the water, and it's dangerous. I mean, it's killed people. They've shut down that part of the rapid and said, hey, we're not putting anybody down there this day because the water's too dangerous. So we have a kind of an outdoor theme with Thomas Creek. We do class 5 IPA. I mean, that's up the creek. I mean, we have a lot of kayaking,
no joke,
stuff that we do. So Bull Sluice just kind of fell into to our lap as probably one of the best beers that we've ever brewed. And actually, Tom says it is the best beer he's ever brewed in 19 years of us being open, even though he's been brewing longer than that. It is a Four Roses bourbon barrel aged quad. So we use Four Roses bourbon barrels to brew it. It put out only 18 kegs, which were exclusively sold to the first person that wanted them. I mean, they were sold to everybody. They're available to everybody.
Sure.
But a lot. The price point makes them only go into certain places. Which it was great for us. I mean, huge for us. Tom actually autographed the bottles here, when we did the bottle release, and some of the proceeds went to Safe Harbor. And we're going to continue to push that. We went up to Kentucky, physically drove up there, went to Four Roses Distillery and picked up 10 more barrels. Drove them back down here, and we'll be putting Bull Sluice number 2 in those coming up, and it'll probably release November, December, depending on how well it does in the barrel.
How long does it take to make a beer?
It just depends on the beer.
Yeah?
I mean, in those barrel-aged 6 to 8 months, sometimes longer, and then a lot of that affects, ABV, everything.
Yeah.
For instance, so our red ale can take 3 weeks to make. If you leave out packaging, our Oktoberfest takes 10 weeks to make, and it all depends on the yeast and how long it ferments. And again, I'm not the guy that's going to throw out the names of the hops and this and that. I mean, that's I get that a lot, and a lot of times I'm like, hey man, I can call a brewer right now, bro, and find out whatever you need to know.
Man, yeah.
But I'm not going to sit here and try to blow smoke up, and tell you that I know all about beer, because I don't.
Yeah.
But I know how to sell it.
Well, we can empathize. I mean, you stand at a gun counter for a day, and a guy will walk up and they'll go, "Oh yeah, that old Remington 700 there you got in 308." You're like, "Yes, sir, that's a Remington 700 308." Yeah, okay. Listen, they using the phosphate nitrate finished barrel on that, or did they use the old Magnum America? And you're like, I really don't know the answer to that question. Yeah. Would you like me to call Remington and find out? That website, let me Google that for you.
I love that website.
I want to put that on an iPad. Yeah, on an iPad. So when they ask questions like that, I go, I don't know. Let's see together, and find out.
I've become a pretty good bullshitter, but I'm not going to, sit here and I don't know. I just don't think that benefits us at all. I mean, right. I know I've studied the beer. I know enough to get by to tell you what it tastes like.
You knew enough to fool us, so
right.
I mean,
you just were like,
it really didn't take.
Here's some free beer. We're like, oh, okay.
But
this guy knows his stuff.
But the cool thing is, I learn a little bit more every day.
Yeah.
And I would never want to be a home brewer or a brewer, because it's a very, very difficult job, man.
Very
tough. It's a science, man. It really is. I mean, Tom's a genius when it comes to it, man. We have a lot of other breweries that look to him for advice and guidance, and we don't advertise that or talk about that. I mean, that's his deal. I mean, he's
just a nice enough guy to do it.
Yeah, man, he's a pillar of the community. Yeah. I mean, he really is.
Can we just pause for a second and talk about what it is we're drinking right now?
Go for it. And what is this in front of everybody?
And
Will?
I can't pronounce it, so Will's got to tell us.
Amundas Monachus, is how you pronounce it.
Right. Are you speaking Pig Latin, or am I just hearing it that way?
I'm so used to saying Conduplico that I never really go any further than that because it's like we have one.
Probably a safe word.
We have one that's called Akusama Thundaluka, and it took me.
Yeah, from Lion King.
But yeah, it took me months to learn how to say it because I just kept telling it, all right, Akusama Thundaluka. And I say it to somebody like, what?
It means no worries.
It means cherry in Zulu.
Really?
So it's our sour cherry nitro stout, which is on tap here at the brewery, and I think it's on tap at Pour Tap Room downtown right now. Yeah. It's
cool
really
spot.
good. Yeah, it's super tart, man.
Let's talk a little bit about the facility we're sitting in. That's a great overview of the company. There's a couple of things I find to be cool that I didn't know before coming here today. But number one, it looks like there's an actual little bar here, a little tasting room.
Yeah, definitely.
Is there an hour of operations to that? Can somebody just come in and try what they want to try and maybe take a case of beer home with them?
Yeah, I mean, actually, it's listed as opening at 9 a.m. So, I mean, I've never worked behind the bar in the tap room.
Yeah.
I was told when I got here, you're not allowed behind the bar.
No, you're not. Jackie will slap you with a little flask of water on the hand.
Ooh,
or
I
something.
like it. I like it.
But no, Mondays we have $3 pints, which is huge. We got a train that's passing by right now.
I love it, by the way. I'm loving the ambiance I'm hearing when we're here. I want to do this every time we record.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge facility, dude. We are the largest brewery in South Carolina. We love that. But
The largest and the oldest, right?
well, we can't really.
No?
we don't
Okay.
really want to get. We're up there. Palmetto might have us by a little bit. We're not really, we haven't really looked into that or really want to put a stamp on anything. All we know, he's been here 18 plus years. So this year will be 19 years. So as far as overall operating consistently, I do believe we are the oldest because I think there might have been some snags with them in Palmetto. Don't quote me on that, but as far as operating consistently without stopping, we are the oldest.
Okay.
Yes. That can be probably said. But our tap room has, like I said, it's not a huge tap room, but it does have a lot to offer that you can't find, out in Greenville. The best thing to do is check us out during events, like March 9th. That'd be the time that I'd suggest coming out because we have live music, food truck. Once the weather gets good, man, we spend a lot of time outdoors. Brew Bash is 1,000+ people that are here, and that's a Halloween costume party that we do every year. I don't think we've set the date for that one this year yet, but it's usually around Halloween. It's a killer good time, man.
So the whole time we've been here, everybody's been working.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's people running around everywhere doing all kinds of things. I have no idea what they're actually doing, but it looks really important.
Right. Patrick wouldn't know what work looks like if it slapped him in the face.
Good point. That's a good point. They look like they know what they're doing.
Keep teeing them up, man.
Don't you worry. There'll be plenty more opportunities. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna open a Class 5 IPA now.
I like it.
Cheers, boys. But my question is, so if you're having an event, do operations continue?
Nope.
Okay,
No.
cool.
We're getting to the point, man. I'm not kidding when I say this. We're getting to the point where we're possibly going to be operating 24 hours. That's supply and demand is
That's your boss leaving. He's been listening in the other room. He's like, I want no part of this.
I knew he wouldn't get that beer, right? No, I mean, it's these guys don't stop, man. I mean, they're really the backbone of the brewery. I mean, Tom is the master brewer. We have 4 other brewers that are assistant brewers here that just kill it. Brent, Zach, Josh, and Adam. They're great. We have guys that manage the warehouse, guys that manage the bottling line. We're about to start canning. Our canning system was delivered Saturday, so we'll have Trifecta going in cans. And Trace Gringos. If you haven't had Trace Gringos, it's a killer good beer. It's a hoppy pale lager, which is weird to say, but it's like a pale ale that's kind of like borderline session. So it's hoppy but thin, and it's done really well for us. So that's going to go in cans also, and we're excited about that. I mean, a lot of craft beer breweries are moving to cans. I mean, almost everybody.
Why is that? Because to me personally, it sounds like a downgrade. Like,
Well-
I mean, if I go to the store and I'm like, I can have it in a bottle or I can have it in a can, I would take the bottle. But I don't know any better.
From what I understand, it has a lot to do with, and don't, again, I'm not an expert on this. Don't quote me on this, but a lot of it has
we'll
to
just
do
put it
with,
on the podcast.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of it has to do with recycling.
Oh, okay.
A lot of places, they're not paying somebody to pick out broken glass, so they're not allowing glass to go to recycling, which is making
Greenville
glass.
is one of those places.
Yeah.
I think about a year ago, Greenville stopped accepting glass and recycling.
Yeah,
Will, have I ever told you how much I hate the government?
no.
We should stop and talk about that at some point.
Alrighty.
So
I'm going to use my I'm over it.
you're okay.
And I'm going to save Will
right.
from the heartache that will ensue.
Well, the other thing about cans is, light affects beer, which is why the beer that we're drinking right now is in dark colored bottles. But light also affects beer. So in cans and aluminum, it really has almost, zero effect from what I've heard.
I've heard that about milk jugs, like being in your fridge and stuff. They make them a different color because shipment and storage, the light can affect.
And the big thing is, dude, you're going to the lake, you're going to the pool, you're going to places
true.
that do not allow bottles. Or I guess the lake does, but you got to be careful with that. But,
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's really good.
The beach, if you're sneaking one on Folly because they don't allow.
But who would ever do that?
I would never do that.
I wouldn't either.
No, that's not even in a
I've
consideration.
actually never done that before. Ever.
So let me back up for a quick second and advocate something, because if you're listening and you think, man, it'd be cool, I want to go hang out at Thomas Creek, but maybe I don't have time for it, maybe this or that, whatever. My first visit to the brewery actually came a few years ago when REI was having a local volunteer effort called, it was either Meet Us on the River or See You on the River. I think it was See You on the River. And we literally, a bunch of us got into the Reedy River here locally and pulled tires out of the Reedy River for half a day. It was phenomenal to find out how many people apparently are like, well, I don't really know what to do with this flat. Here we go. And they toss it in a river. Apparently that's a thing. I don't know. There was a lot of junk to be gotten out of the Reedy
Fish
River.
are really going to enjoy this radial.
That's a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a thing.
It must be.
I'm telling you, I can tell you this for a fact. We, if you're familiar with downtown Greenville, you would know Cleveland Park. And we were on the side of Cleveland Park where Nickeltown meets the YMCA, if you know where that is.
I do.
And we really didn't make it out of that section. And we cleaned the entire day from, I think it was about 8 o'clock in the morning till about 3 in the afternoon. And then we came to Thomas Creek, and they gave you a beer ticket, and they had food trucks, they had a bluegrass band playing in the brewery itself. But the point I'm making to you is, if you're interested in visiting, there are a plethora of opportunities to not only give back by volunteering for a day, but then you'll probably get a free couple of beers out of it from, REI gave everybody a ticket, like 2 drink tickets that came in, and that was free of charge. So you got to come in and sample some beer. So it's a great way to kind of do 2 birds, 1 stone. Give back, feel good about yourself, sample some beer. So I would look up one of those opportunities, or like you said, Will, find a charity, organize something yourself, and then come do it here at the brewery. So this is all right. Again, if it's a trade secret, just say so. Are there other companies that you can talk about? Do you guys do business with other beer companies? There's Thomas Creek, and that's it? How does that work?
Well, we do collaborations, which is something a lot of breweries do. We've done them in the past. We have a big one coming up. It's called American Sour Weekend. Last year, Sean with Birdsfly South and Tom did a collab on 4 different sours using real fruit, and they're amazing.
Yeah.
They're around 7% alcohol, which is kind of heavy for a sour, and they did great in the market. So what we decided this year is Sean will have his on the 31st of April. No, I'm sorry. January, February, March, April. May 31st. No, March 31st, excuse me. March 31st will be at Birds Fly South at 5 p.m. He'll have live music and food trucks, and he'll release his 2 sours. And then April 1st, we will have live music here. Soul Service again will be playing. They play a lot here, man. We just love them. They're always they're a crowd pleaser. And we'll release our 2 sours here. And it's a collab. I mean, it's something we're going to do every year. And sours are becoming a real big part of the game, especially in the spring, summertime. And it was big for us last year, and it's going to be even bigger this year. And we're really proud of Sean, man. We were so happy for him. That place is doing great, and he's a great guy. And he started here brewing in this actual hangar that we're sitting in. He's good friends with Tom, and we are a huge supporter of him, and vice versa. And we have a great relationship with them. So that does exist. Yeah. It's funny you say that, because when you go out in the market and you go to festivals or something, and you meet people from other breweries, like Green Man or Holland or any of these guys, that they're doing the same thing you're doing. There's no
ego?
Yeah.
There's ego's gone?
There's no dude, you're a jerk.
Right.
I want to punch you in the face. None of that exists. It's, hey man, I got a couple of samples if you want to trade, or how's it going, bro? Good to see you. Whatever. I mean,
it's a community.
It is, man. There's enough food on the table for everybody. There's no need to be all stuck up and rude. And the ones that actually are, nobody likes anyway. So
they probably don't last.
Yeah, no, I mean, it just doesn't exist, man. I mean, it's a business, man. It's just it's like the restaurant business. I mean, everybody's just kind of, if you've ever been in the restaurant business, it's,
terrible.
Yeah, it is.
That's the word you're looking for.
You work your ass off, man. You respect people that are in the restaurant business, because, they're jerks. But man, they're jerks because they get the job done, and you don't have.
I thought you meant the customers that come into the restaurants.
Well,
that's why I hate the restaurant business, man. I couldn't stand dealing with people anymore.
Those are our customers, so we can't say that.
The people that buy the beer are your customers? Sure. Yeah.
But,
all right. Patrick already used his arm over it. I should really dive deep.
Oh man.
No, I'm telling you. This is it. This is all I'll say. When I remember getting out of the food service and saying to myself, man, the day I don't have to deal with people and their food, I just can't wait. Because people, they'll be picky about a lot of stuff in life, man, but you start handing them their food, holy moly, it's a whole new ball game.
Well, so. I'll tell you, I still tip way too much when I go out. It's a curse. It's for the rest of your life, man. I mean, if you're ever in the service industry and you go out, you notice a little piece of paper on the floor in the bathroom, and you just want to, you just cringe, because that was my job. You just go around and make sure everything's perfect. So.
Yeah, I had a guy wait on me recently who literally never brought me a fork. Despite me asking for it, and I ate with the spoon out of the bean bowl. I had black beans with it, and I just used that spoon. Still got a great tip, because it's I can't not tip the poor guy. I know he's running his butt off. He's working hard.
Yeah, it happens. So
yeah,
I don't know. That doesn't exist. That animosity with each other. It doesn't exist when you're out in the beer world.
That's a good thing, because I don't think it serves anybody.
No, it doesn't. Yeah. It's a laid back environment. You're at a festival. People are coming up and getting samples of your beer, and then you're sampling other people's beer, and it's a lot of beer.
Here's what I think. If competition makes you mad, you're probably not really good at what you do anyway.
It's just beer.
Yeah.
It is, it's my job, and I love what I do, but at the end of the day, man, it's just beer.
But you guys know you're good at it, and you create a great product, and every other company recognizes that same thing, so you guys can get together and say, hey, love your product, love what you're doing. It's not exactly what we're doing. So we got a hole in the market over here. We are feeling that we do it this way, and everybody can get along because they understand it. Look, you're talking to two guys involved in the gun world as a habit. You talk about ego check. How often you just want to tell people, just check that at the door. I get it. You don't want to do the isosceles stance, or you do, or you like your Weaver bent elbow, whatever it is.
And also, I don't care.
Right.
I don't know if those are homosexual terms or not.
They totally are. Okay. Yes, they are. Make it legal today.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, of course not. And Patrick and I spent some time at the courthouse recently protesting. So But no, my point is, what you run into is somebody that thinks this is the only way to do something, and somebody else who says, yeah, but there's also this way of doing it. And I think the mature mind that's confident in the way it does things says, this might be something to be learned over there, or there might, there's respect for this approach to things, and you don't have to get all tied up. We are just about at a 1 hour mark, so I want to make sure we didn't miss anything that you wanted to hammer home, Will. I do want to say that everybody here, so you really only find two places when you go out, right? So you can go to a coffee shop like Dunkin' Donuts, where they were literally, sometimes they're really nice, but when you get that really nice guy, you're like, man, this guy's never here. Where's this guy? Or you go to Starbucks, where they obviously pay well enough that everybody's happy to be at work that day, right? Same thing with everything you do in life. Companies, you can tell companies that care for their people, because everybody here has been extremely kind, welcoming.
Absolutely.
Everybody seems really happy to be here, which is amazing. And so I guess I'm just sharing that to say compliments and kudos to the company as a whole, because it seems like such a great place to work. Everybody's just hanging around. But outside of that, if there's anything we missed that we didn't touch on, now's the time to make sure I do.
A question that I get asked a lot that and I get a lot of slack when I give them the answer to it, is a lot of people come to me and say, well, we don't have Thomas Creek and so grocery store or in this bar that I go to all the time, and we need to get some Thomas Creek in there. Well, my answer to that is, okay, well, I don't mind going by and talking to them and doing things, but you just ask for a manager, ask for somebody to come over and say, hey man, like, can you pick up Thomas Creek coffee stout or whatever it may be, and that manager's going to pick it up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you get things, is you ask for them.
Well, a lot of times, I think it coming from a customer is worth more than it coming from a sales rep.
Exactly. And they're like, oh, well, I'm doing your job for you. Well, all right, well, then you want the beer in there or not? I mean, you have more pull than I do.
That's true. You tell that manager, if you have this, I'll buy a case a week.
Yeah,
they'll
just
pick it up.
Ask for Thomas Creek, man.
Yeah.
Like, if you're at a bar, if you're like, why don't you have Trifecta? I mean, it's in 90% of the bars and restaurants in Greenville. 90%.
Yeah.
I mean, even corporate companies that come here from out of state open and start with Trifecta, and it never leaves.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that.
I do want to share a quick story. Chris and I were out of town one time, and we went in a bar, and he goes, yeah, I'll have a Trifecta. And the girl goes, what? So again, we're not in Greenville.
She's like, I'm not into that.
Well,
we're far.
Yeah,
Yeah, pretty much.
You can see these two studs.
We're far away from Greenville, and the girl gave this puzzled look. She's like, "What?
Well, we were.
What do you mean?"
Yeah.
And then Chris had this sort of epiphany of, "Oh, yeah, I guess we're not home."
Because, to be real clear, better context as well, we were in a chain that locally carries it.
Yeah.
And then you go to the same named restaurant a couple 100 miles away, and you're like, oh, yeah. Man, I forget it's local. You can get your manager over here right now. Right? That's what you said to do.
Oh, yeah.
That's
well,
exactly
not in that term. I mean, I have restaurant managers all over the world pissed at me. But
right.
No,
this is the part where you comp my meal, right?
There's that, and be on the lookout for a beer called Paz. P-A-Z.
P-A-Z, okay. What's up with that?
It's a Mexican-style lager that we're going to start making, and it's pretty, what the brewers call, what I call crushable.
Meaning you drink it easily.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Paz.
Yeah, pause. And it translates to peace. And it's going to be a huge hit for us, and we're excited about making it, and that should be coming up pretty soon. And you think about it, man. You go into a Mexican restaurant, it's all the same stuff every time you go in there. And it's just going to be so nice to have, a local craft beer brewery that does one that really hits a home run, and you want to keep coming back for.
All right, well, I'm going to wrap with a story you might not believe. But do you guys know that when the Pilgrims left the boat, that they left because they were running out of beer? It's a true story. And that the Indian tribe they ran into had a gentleman who had been to Europe for a while, and one of the first things he asked them was, did you bring any beer?
Wow.
Believe it or not. So Chris's recommendation for the week, go read God and Guinness. It's an excellent book about the history of the Guinness Brewery, and he recounts that historical fact at the beginning of that book. Will, thanks for your time.
Yeah, man.
And thanks for the tour and the beer and everything else.
Thank
you
you.
guys are amazing. Everybody, check out Thomas Creek Brewery, and also please check out safeharborsc.org and feltrecoilshow.com for many, many more details. And we'll see you next week back here again for what will be Felt Recoil number 15.